You wrote on Sunday night, golfchannel.com, unsolicited. No one was asking for this. Wow. And yet you wrote a column that I know you don't write the headline. Goodbye, WGC match play. You won't be missed by all. At first, I thought it said you won't be missed at all, which would have been extraordinarily harsh. However, this was your take. What was your take? Why was it your take? And just how many hateful emails have you received?
As you pointed out, no hateful emails. Twitter has been interesting the last 24 hours. As you know, as well as I do, we don't write headlines. And how many times have you written a column or something and you read it and you went, oh, come on, that's not even close to what I was trying to get. No, I got to get whoever wrote that headline, Mercer, Patricia, Colby, Brantley, whoever wrote that headline, you nailed it. That's it. Perfect. Yes. I texted our boss, Mercer, about halfway through Sunday, and I go, I'm not writing a game story. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not. And, we wanted Scotty Scheffler and Rory. We ended up getting them in the consolation match. What we ended up in the finals match was Cameron Young and Sam Burns, two unbelievably talented players with unlimited potential. Like, you can't wait to see what they become. This isn't what you want. And the column, the idea was, I spent all week staring at Twitter and looking at comments and everyone just pearl clutching because the match play was going away. How could the tour do this? How could we lose the only match play event on the schedule? Where you been the last 2 decades? I'll tell you where I've been. I've been covering it. And before you jump on me, I'm coming at you too, Ryan Lavner, because you never even wanted to cover this. The one time in my entire career, and this is completely selfish, that you tried to elbow me out of the match play, that you or anyone else at our company tried to elbow me out of the match play, was when it went to Harding Park. And that's just because you wanted to go to San Francisco. All of those years on top of that godforsaken mountain in Arizona, all of the years in Austin, it was only me. So if it was so popular, I covered
it 7 times. Covered it 7 times. I covered it Dove Mountain, covered Harding Park, and I covered it in Austin.
Really? Because I don't remember you ever clamoring. Like, where were you this year? You didn't want to go to the last one?
I haven't covered it ever since the ANWA started, which was back in 2019, just to make it so I don't have 3.5 weeks on the road.
All right, so here's my reasons. My reasoning is, number one, first and foremost, if this was such a great product, if this was what the world wanted, the players wanted, the fans wanted, the media wanted, the PGA Tour is in the entertainment business. Let's don't kid ourselves. And they're not getting rid of this product if they think it's the most entertaining product they have, which according to Twitter, it is. So don't kid yourselves. The tour is getting rid of this. And look, it might come back. Like I had a moment late Sunday afternoon. I kind of got Rory on his way to the clubhouse and we were having a conversation, and Rory seems to know things more so than other players. And he kind of told me that he would imagine that there will be a match play event on the schedule. That's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. The idea that everyone's going to miss this thing, no one missed it. I mean, go back just once in the entire history of this event, 24 years, did we end up with a top 4 finish. And by that, I mean, one of the 4 players who started as a number 1 seed in their bracket, somehow they've ended up in the Final Four. I mean, in the championship match. Just 1 year, 2004. Tiger Woods, Davis Love, 3-2. Not even that good of a match. Instead, we ended up with a lot of Sam Burns. We ended up with a lot of Cameron Youngs. We ended up with a lot of Jeff Maggarts is what we ended up with.
Jeff Maggarts was 20 years ago.
But the first one, I mean, I hated picking on it.
You've also had Scotty. You've also had DJ. You've also had Kiz. You've had Billy Ho.
And we've had Stuart Sink, and I can keep going
Jason
back
Day,
right back.
World number 1.
We had Victor Dubuisson. I can keep going right back at you because the fact of the matter is we never ended up with what we wanted. But probably the bigger deal, and this is what I would camp on, is they never got the format right. I mean, the straight knockout, which I think most players will tell you they'd rather play straight knockout, that did not sit well with TV executives. That did not sit well with corporate sponsors, because what they don't want is Tiger Woods going home on day 1, which happened 3 times. And so they came up with this sort of convoluted, watered-down group play where we play 2 days, don't prove anything, get into Friday, and now you kind of have a semi-interesting day. Instead of having the best Wednesday on tour, you've now watered it down into 3 semi-boring days. It was never right. I keep going back to the idea that everyone who who said that they're going to miss this never really paid attention.
Rant over?
And another thing.
Rant over. After 4 minutes, here we are. By published accounts, Dell executives did want the match play to continue. It seemed like it was pushed back from
Austin did.
The folks
the
at Austin
Club
Country
wanted
Club
it back as well.
which certainly is a shame. To me, Rex, it wasn't that the match play didn't work because of the golf course. I thought, and I think Austin Country Club is a funky, fun, made-for-TV venue. Like, I think it is a fantastic match play course. I actually don't even think the format was the big issue. Top players might not have necessarily liked this round robin style beginning to it, but they weren't a huge fan.
Down Wednesday and Thursday.
They weren't a fan of the one and done nature either. They thought, if I'm going to make the effort to be out here, that I want to stick around for more than 18 holes.
It's match play. There's a problem, which everyone on Twitter seems to ignore. Seems to have forgotten that, this is awkward. Like, we don't like straight knockout, but whatever the tour's fix was, and look, the tour tried the fix. I mean, I will give the PGA Tour a monsoon of credit. They tried to come up with some way to appease everybody, but you can't. Not with this format.
But I think that this format, so in a regular 72-hole tournament, right? Like Thursday and Friday are pretty boring. It's just kind of like, it's just tone setting for the week, right? And then the momentum and the drama builds on Saturday. Then you have hopefully a thrilling conclusion on Sunday. What I liked about the round robin style format, and I don't feel passionate about it either way, but I do think you had some memorable moments sprinkled throughout the week, even if you didn't necessarily have the championship match, which is what everybody wanted. Friday became basically a head-to-head playoff. You would have a sudden death playoffs to get in. You think back to the Tiger Rory quarterfinal match back in 2019, which eventually propelled Tiger onto the Masters win just a couple of weeks later. Like, we've had smatterings of memorable moments throughout the week that you wouldn't ordinarily have in either a knockout format or just a regular 72-hole format. But so the issue, Rex, is not the format. It wasn't the golf course. The issue for the match play is the timing. The timing on the schedule was horrible. How on earth can you have the WGC match play played 2 weeks before the Masters on the back end of a frenzied stretch, which already included elevated tournaments at Kapalua? You had a bunch of great players playing at Torrey. You had Amex as well. Then you had Phoenix, Riv. You had Bay Hill players. You had a decent field at the Valspar just the week prior. And now you're having 1 week before the Masters. Like, why would you have this tournament played 2 weeks before the Masters? It makes no sense. That's the reason why Justin Thomas,
it's not the problem.
Justin Thomas, reigning PGA champion, did not show up along with Justin Rose at the WGC match play. A, he doesn't like the golf course for some reason. And B, he did not think it was the ideal preparation for Augusta. So he instead played the Valspar Championship, took 2 weeks off, and will head to Augusta likely over the weekend. That's the issue. The issue was the timing. If you played this between the two summer opens, if you played this as part of like the larger FedEx Cup playoff structure, if you made some sort of bonus bonanza in the fall with all the top players, like, then I think it works. But
are you suggesting it should become the Tour Championship?
Is
that what you're suggesting? Are you suggesting that this should just become the Tour Championship? Is that where we're going with this?
No, making the Tour Championship strictly a match play tournament, I think, would be a mistake. That's when match play it might be the truest form of competition, but like, you're still going to get some very fickle results.
Enough.
What you can do, Rex, how you can incorporate match play in the Tour Championship is have basically a shortened version of either the Western Amateur or the U.S. Amateur, right? Where you have stroke play qualifying that determines the best players, and then you go into a knockout bracket for, I would call it, the top 8 players. Like, I think that would be interesting. Why? You're identifying the best players. There's not going to be any flukes that get through, and then you can still have the mono nature that everyone likes.
Just stop. You and everyone else on Twitter. If it was such a great format, why did we only have one event? If it was such a great format, why is the tour more than willing to let it go? If it was such a great format, then why do we end up...
I think that shows a disconnect between what tour executives want and what golf fans want.
I don't even think, again, you're conflating the issue here. The issue here is the tour is in the entertainment business. And if this was truly the best
what
format,
is more entertaining?
Not only would they have at least one... What is
more entertaining than head-to-head golf?
That not only would they probably have one, they would have more than one. And yet we have 48 events on schedule, and only one of them is a match play event on the PGA Tour.
The PGA Tour just learned that they're an entertainment product like 6 months ago when they had
they've always known they're an entertainment product. They just leaned into the idea.
Then why would you have a schedule full of 72-hole stroke play events?
They finally conceded the fact they're an entertainment product right now. And again, the idea that somehow this is the purest form, really? Because all 4 major championships are played under stroke play. So apparently they don't think it's the purest form. I mean, why wouldn't one of...
it's the purest form of competition going head-to-head and seeing who wins.
It is not the best way to identify the best way to
determine a champion?
No, it is not. Absolutely not. And that's why the major championships don't use it. That's why we only had one on the schedule on the PGA Tour. And that's probably why we don't have any
I'm not saying we need more
right now.
I'm not saying we need more match play tournaments. I'm saying what we need is a match play tournament.
Why?
It would be a shame to not have a match play tournament on the PGA Tour schedule. You have to have one. I just wouldn't have it 2 weeks before the Masters.
There's not a flag football game in the middle of the NFL season just to mix things up, just to make things different.
But there is one during the Pro Bowl.
Well, again, during the Pro Bowl, which no one pays attention to, which they had to switch around because nobody pays attention to because it's not entertaining. I keep going back to the idea.
There's no shame in having one of them. Why would you not have one?
Because you don't need one. If they needed one, we would have one on the schedule. We don't.
So you want to replace the match play with So you want to replace the match play with another 72-hole stroke play competition?
It's what's going to happen.
It's just a continuation of the monotonous slate already. That's what
I would say. What they have in New Orleans now is probably the best version of what they can come up with, where you do have a 2-man team event.
No one watches that.
Well, again, you're right.
Compare the ratings. Compare the ratings between.
What do you think the ratings were for that Cam Young, Sam Burns final on Sunday? And again, I hate raining down on them. I hate raining down on them. And I was on the golf course. I walked it. What do you think the galleries were? I don't have to tell you.
70-30 in favor of the consolation match, at least.
Yes. And then look, the consolation match had Scotty Scheffler, local guy, Texas connection, and had Rory McIlroy, who, by the way, is beloved in Austin. Come on. No one had any
would you be singing a different song had Scotty Scheffler made his 4-foot birdie putt on the second playoff hole against Sam Burns? And would you have felt differently had Rory McIlroy hit the green on the first playoff hole and he has a 2-putt birdie to knock out Cameron Young?
I would not be singing a different tune. We would still be having this conversation.
Then you'd be having the numbers 1 and 3. Then now it's number 1 and 2 players in the world.
I would not have written a column.
A Ryder Cup preview.
But we didn't.
The 3 best players in the world.
We didn't. Again,
but
you can play the revisionist game.
We were tantalizingly close to having that scenario.
We didn't get it. You can play the revisionist game. You can do the what ifs. We can do the what about it.
If it is
all you want.
Here's a fun hypothetical. If Rory and Scotty,
I don't do that. Like Jay Monahan, I don't do hypotheticals.
I was gonna say if it's I was just gonna say that Jay Monahan would love this. If it's Rory versus Scotty in the final and it's like a 1-up, it goes what I think is a great finishing hole at Austin Country Club, that 340-yard drive par 4. Like it's just a great hole. If those two had this like instant classic, and right now 3 weeks ago Jay Monahan says nope, the match play quote didn't work in the 2024 schedule, would they have found a way to make that work all of a sudden had that been the championship match?
I think, as I mentioned, I think they'll find a way to get a match play event back on the schedule. I think there's enough sentiment among players.
Apparently it's a done deal for 2024 that they can't.
Well, no, they can't next year. I think that is a done deal.
Consideration. It's a quote consideration according to a tour statement.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he completely dismissed the ideas of the WGCs. And look, we still have one more WGC under contract. That doesn't matter. When you have someone, when Rory tells me that he's confident, then that gives me an idea that yes, probably going forward they'll find a way to get one. And maybe it's not even a tour event. Like Billy Horschel brought up a really good idea that maybe the DP World Tour starts doing the World Match Play again. Instead of 64, you start with 32, and you come up with a way to marry that into the PGA Tour schedule. There's plenty of ways to do it, but I keep going back to the idea that no, we didn't get that final, and I've covered almost every final at that event.
And we don't have one. That's the beauty.
We've never gotten that final.
So close. They got so close to having it, and yet they didn't have it. It was like It was like a perfect coda to the match play era.
And to go to your point about the golf courses, and I will say, of all the golf courses this has been at, from La Casa to the 2 at Dove Mountain, this one by far.
Close. It's by far.
Yes, this is by far the best. However, no one is hand-wringing that either. None of the players were like, oh, I'm going to miss this golf course so much. It's the best match play golf course. It's a really good match play golf course, which in the parlance is It's a really good
I think for a stroke play tournament, it could be a potential disaster. But
yes,
Cam Young made 41 birdies and 4 bogeys. Like, it was unbelievable.
Yes,
the quality of golf that he was able to play on a course that has drivable par 4s, easily reachable par 5s, bunch of like crazy bounces. You have to show a lot of creativity around the greens. Like, I think it's a fantastic match living. I'm actually I'm literally gonna miss seeing that on the schedule next year. I really am.
No one's missing this one. You take Riv off the schedule, they're going to miss it. You take Harbour Town off the schedule, guys are going to miss it. Colonial and keep going down the list.
Harbour Town can't stand it. You could be in the fairway and be blocked out. Hate that.
I love Harbour Town. And players love Harbour Town. It's probably the important part here. So, no. And look, La Costa always had the weather against it. In Southern California, it's just not a good venue, as we learned, especially that close to Torrey Pines on the PGA Tour. Those two at Dove Mountain were awful. I got snowed on. I got hailed on. Jumping Choi got me. Like, everything about the top of that mountain, I just absolutely hated. Harding Park was fine, but no one went to the tournament. You couldn't sell a ticket. At least Austin, you had a community that was kind of rabid about this. I was talking with one tour official. They made $5 million on that tournament last week, which is by far the best ever of a WGC. Nearly 25 years.
But you're getting rid of it.
And they're getting rid of it because the PGA Tour doesn't want it. That's it. And the players can say whatever they want. They don't want it either, because you can make the argument it's at a bad point in the schedule. No, you can make the argument that it's a bad point in the schedule. They're not going. I mean, if you moved it to
where would you put it? Where would you put it in the schedule?
Wouldn't put it. Not doing it. I don't want it. So I'm not playing your game. Since it's going
to be in the schedule beginning probably in 2025, according to Rory.
The fall. Put it in the fall. I don't care. We had breaking news last night. If you want to get to that as well, I've vented. And if you want to see, I wrote 1,000 words of this. In case you want to circle back around on golfchannel.com.
It is interesting because I feel like the PGA Tour schedule takes a little bit of a nosedive after the Masters. I think Harbour Town is kind of like a nice debrief from a very stressful week, right, at Augusta National. But then you have just a bunch of like middling events that really don't stand out in the schedule. And so putting the top 64 PGA Tour players in the world head to head sometime in June, I'd put it like 2 weeks after the US Open, before everyone goes across the pond for the Scottish Open Championship double dip. I think that makes the most sense in the schedule and would give kind of that.
I'm trying to find a fix it for something that shouldn't be on the schedule.
It's going to be. I love it. You and the tour executives.
Really? Are you reporting it right now?
You and the tour executives
write it.
Need to bridge this gap, which clearly exists between your folks and the casual golf fan who loves
who are my folks?
WGC match play. You and the tour executives. You have to be one of the. You're just not a common folk anymore. Too hoity-toity. You've lost touch.